Welcome back to Facing the Future. I'm your host, Bob Bixby. I'm talking to the Concord Coalition's Policy Director, Tori Gorman, and Concord's Chief Economist, Steve Robinson. We're discussing fast and furious budget events going on in Washington. And Tori, I wanted to get back to an area of expertise of yours, which is the budget resolution and what clues that might provide to us for what's to come next.
Sure. So we talked initially in our conversation today about how the budget resolution was step one in the reconciliation process that will eventually lead to step two, which is a really large $3.5 trillion reconciliation bill we expect later on this year in the October, November, December timeframe. And I think there will be some really interesting clues in a budget resolution that will show us how Democrats plan to draft the reconciliation bill that will follow. First and foremost will be the instructions, the actual reconciliation instructions in the budget resolution. That the budget resolution will actually delineate each committee in the House and the Senate, produce changes in laws that generate X trillion dollars, that change outlays or deficits or whatever. They're going to be instructions in that budget resolution. And, Democrats in the House and the Senate and the president are saying our reconciliation bill, our $3.5 trillion reconciliation bill is going to be paid for. And if that's true, then those reconciliation instructions to the committees, for the most part, are going to be very, very, very small, right? Because if you're going to spend a whole lot of money, but then you're going to raise a whole lot of money to offset it, then your deficit instructions to your committees don't have to be big. They're going to be very, as a matter of fact, it's one way to constrain them and force them to find offsets for the spending proposals that they are going to put forward. So clue one for me is going to be, what do the reconciliation instructions look like in the budget resolution that's coming forward? And then the second thing I'm going to look for is, what is a budget resolution saying about things like scoring rules and reserve funds and points of order, things. I mean, it's really, inside baseball budget geekdom, but it'll give you some sort of clue about what kind of thumb Democrats are putting on the scale to get this reconciliation bill through. What kind of things are they going to do to the budget process that make it easier to get this massive reconciliation bill through the House and the Senate later on this year with just simple majorities in both chambers? So that those are the big things that I'm looking for in this budget resolution as sort of indicators, warning lights about how Democrats are going to draft this reconciliation bill later this year. Because if they're, for example, going back to reconciliation instructions, if their instructions to committees total $3.5 trillion in deficit spending, that tells me that Democrats really are unserious about offsetting their new spending. And that would raise alarm bells for me. For example, if I was a moderate Democrat having to run for re-election in 2022, and I'm concerned about deficits and debt, if they're asking me to vote to support a budget resolution that will eventually lead to a $3.5 trillion reconciliation bill that does not have to be offset, because these instructions say you do not have to offset these new spending programs, then all of a sudden I'm rethinking my support for this budget resolution.